FFP Wealth Management has been helping families accumulate, ultimately distribute, leave their assets, and now it's for families to inherit assets wisely. We have a tool we call the Tax Super Sheet that helps us identify strategies that are sometimes confounding and very much opens up the mysteries of the tax code. Well, here in America, the estate planning attorneys have been helping families arrange their affairs to avoid estate tax. Some have used attorneys, some have done it themselves, but in either case, leaving wisely is only a part of it, inheriting wisely is the other part. So we've put together a seminar that we're calling Leave Wisely, Inherit Wisely, to help people through the process of getting their affairs organized so their family can get the most of their money. And by the way, we're not talking about people that are the richest people in America. We're not just talking about estate taxes on large estates. Anybody with an IRA, 401k, 403b, savings bonds, and annuities will be subject to income tax when the money goes to the next generation. Those things are not tax-free. And to make the point, I'm going to share a little bit of a case study with you. An elderly woman went to one of her children to make sure her affairs were in order, and it was discovered she had made some mistakes. Things she did, like putting the house in the name of the children, which would have resulted in large taxes for the kids. Those things were taken care of. They arranged the affairs in such a way as to provide the least tax going to the next generation, but now each of the kids have to make decisions on their own. Each of them are very different, and why you should attend the seminar will become obvious as I show you this example I'm going to put on the whiteboard. I have a little bit of notes here that I'm going to go by on this paper to help illustrate how inheriting wisely could affect just about everybody. The first child is a high income earner. The family makes over $300,000 a year. If they were to, just for the simple IRA, which is worth about $75,000, each of the kids would inherit $19,000 of that. That family would pay 41% income tax when they inherit that. Because they're going to remain in a high bracket, they won't be in a lower bracket later. Yet, because the affairs were arranged properly, that person could refuse to inherit, and because the mother's affairs were set up properly, that money would go to her two children, and if they took that money out, their tax rate went all the way down to 14%. Not everybody wants to give up an inheritance, but if you're thinking of giving some money to your kids anyway, would you rather pay tax at 41% and then try to give it, or give it to them first and let them pay 14%? Well, that's one of 4 kids. The second child, and we're talking about adults here, right? The mother passed away in her 80s. He's been unemployed for 3/4 of the year, just got back to work. His total income for this year is $15,000. Next year and years subsequent, it'll be $70,000 or more. He's a long way from retirement, and he'd like to pull the money out. If he takes it all out this year, his tax rate is 12%. Subsequent years, the tax on that distribution, and this is with state and federal combined, would be over 28%. So clearly, same family, same parents, very different outcomes. The next family member is only a couple of years from retirement, and they make about $110,000 between the two of them, and with 2 years to retirement, they thought they would defer until they retire. But because of the complicated nature of the way the tax code works, combining pensions with Social Security, with the IRA, really was quite a counterintuitive result. If they took the money out today while they're both working, their tax was about $6,000. However, if they defer until they're retired, based on the current tax code, the tax was over $7,000. And that's due to these complicated tests, and the one that hit this the most is called the provisional income test, resulting in more tax to wait until they retire. And then the fourth one is about 5 years from retirement. Household income of about $65,000. If he were to take the entire amount out in year 1, his tax would be $4,300. If he refused the inheritance, both of his children are very successful and would pay much more tax because they're much higher wage earners than their parents. And if they spread the tax out over 5 years, there was no difference because it's all in the same tax bracket. So how do you decide what you do? A tax super sheet analysis will help each person figure out what's right for them. And what you should do is come to this seminar where we're going to talk about leaving assets wisely and inheriting assets wisely, so you can actually form questions that you need to have answered to make sure you inherit wisely or you leave wisely.